My name's Alex, I'm 28, and if you'd asked me a month ago, I would have said my family was just a little dysfunctional. You know, the usual passive-aggressive digs at Thanksgiving, my mom clearly favoring my younger sister Emily, and my dad being totally oblivious to it all. Annoying? Yes. Unbearable? Not really. But then Emily's wedding happened, and I finally understood. My family doesn't just play favorites, they have a lead character. And spoiler, it's not me. So, here's some context. Emily's 25, and calling her spoiled would be putting it lightly. This is the girl who had a meltdown at 16 because I got a used car, and she wanted a brand new one too. And of course, she got it. She's the golden child, the little princess who can do no wrong, even when she's clearly wrong. Me? I'm the older sibling who was supposed to set a good example, which basically meant doing everything right and getting zero credit. If I got a B, my mom would sigh and say I could have done better. If Emily got a C minus, out came the cake and balloons. Anyway, I went into her wedding knowing I wouldn't be the center of attention. It was her big day, and I was cool with being the supportive older sibling. Smile for the camera, avoid drama, and make it through. What I didn't expect, what I couldn't have imagined, was how far they'd go to remind me exactly where I stood in the family. The red flags started early. First, I found out I wasn't even in the wedding party. That stung a bit, but fine. Not everyone includes siblings. But then I found out who was in the party: Emily's childhood best friend, her coworker, even her fiancé's cousin's girlfriend. Seriously? Then came the seating chart. I didn't expect a spot at the head table, but I figured I'd be with our family, people I've shared holidays with forever. But when I got to the venue and grabbed my place card, I noticed something off. My name wasn't listed with our parents, aunts, or cousins. In fact, it wasn't on the chart at all. I had to ask where I was supposed to sit. A wedding planner checked the list, gave me the tightest, most uncomfortable smile, and said, "Oh, Alex, you're right here." She pointed, and I looked. My seat? It wasn't in the beautiful ballroom under crystal chandeliers. It was outside the room, in the hallway, near the coat rack. At first, I laughed. I thought maybe they'd made a mistake. Maybe they ran out of chairs or something. But nope, that was my official seat. A lonely little table by the entrance, next to the faint smell of mothballs from everyone's winter coats. I looked at the planner and said, "You're kidding, right?" She looked pained. "I'm really sorry, but that's where you've been assigned." Assigned, like I was being booked into a cell block. And I still wasn't even mad yet, just confused. Was this some bizarre wedding custom I hadn't heard of? I went straight to Emily. She was glowing in her dress, surrounded by friends and our mom. When she saw me, she flashed the fakest smile. "Oh, hey, you made it!" I held up my place card and asked, "Why am I not seated in the hall with everyone else?" She blinked and actually giggled. "Oh, that? Yeah, we had to shuffle things last minute, so I just happened to get shuffled into the hallway?" I asked. She shrugged. "We had to prioritize close family at the main tables." "I am close family," I said. That's when our mom, who had been pretending not to listen, jumped in with a sugary voice. "Now, Alex, don't make a scene. It's Emily's special day." "I'm not making a scene. I'm asking why I'm stuck out with the coats." Then Emily hit me with the line that really did it. "Well, you're kind of not really immediate family anymore." I froze. "What? You moved out years ago," she said, adjusting her veil like I was boring her. "You don't visit much and you're not married or anything. It's just different now." That hit harder than I expected. It wasn't just anger. It was something colder, something heavier. I wasn't immediate family anymore because I grew up and started living my own life, because I wasn't married. Before I could say anything, someone else stepped in, Emily's mother-in-law. I hadn't talked to her before, But the moment she approached, I knew exactly who she was. The kind of person who lives for drama and loves to stir the pot. She smirked at me and said, "Oh, you're Alex. I was wondering whose seat that was." I forced a smile. "Yep, that's me. The sibling who apparently doesn't count." She chuckled, looked me up and down and said with mock sympathy, "Well, you know how weddings are. Only the most important people get the best spots." And that's when it all clicked. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't about space or planning. This was on purpose. Emily and her new mother-in-law had made sure I knew exactly how little I mattered. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to just sit through that wedding, quietly. And I definitely wasn't leaving without making a statement. I took a slow, steady breath, my fingers tightening around the place card still in my hand. Fine. If this was how they wanted to treat me, so be it. But they forgot something. I grew up with Emily. I knew her secrets, the things she whispered behind people's backs. And most importantly, I knew how much she hated her new mother-in-law. Sure, she smiled in her face and played nice, but behind closed doors, it was a whole different story. And right now, I had an audience. I turned to her mother-in-law, putting on the sweetest fake smile I could manage. "You know what's funny? Just the other day, Emily was stressing over the seating arrangements." Emily, who'd been busy, inspecting her nails like this was all beneath her, suddenly froze. Her mother-in-law raised an eyebrow. I nodded, keeping my tone casual. Yeah, she was all worked up about not wanting certain people too close to the head table. I let that sit for a second, then leaned in like I was sharing a juicy secret. Something about not wanting the wedding photos ruined by... What was it again, Emily? I turned to her with a fake, thoughtful expression. Oh, right. Someone's tacky dress. The little circle fell silent. Her mother-in-law's smirk vanished. "Excuse me?" she said sharply. Emily went pale. "Alex." But I wasn't done. "Oh, and remember how stressed you were about speeches? You were really worried about what certain people might say." I turned to her mother-in-law. Her exact words were, "If she gives a speech, I swear I'll lose it. She's so embarrassing, she'll probably make it all about herself." Emily looked like she wanted to vanish. She grabbed my arm. "Can I talk to you for a second?" I pulled back, feigning confusion. "Why? I thought this was a family conversation. And since I'm apparently not part of the immediate family, I figured I should at least try to be involved somewhere." Her mother-in-law's eyes narrowed. "Is that true?" Emily gave a shaky laugh. "No, of course not. Alex is just... Oh, and how could I forget the bachelorette party?" I said, smacking my forehead. "Silly me. Emily spent half the night complaining about you," I told her mother-in-law. Said she was counting down the days until she didn't have to fake being nice anymore. Said she was only putting up with you to avoid wedding drama. That was the moment. The knockout. Emily's mouth dropped open. My mom looked mortified. My dad actually took a step back like he wanted to disappear. Emily's bridesmaids were whispering behind their hands, eyes wide. And then her mother-in-law exploded. "You ungrateful little brat," she snapped. I bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from grinning. This was about to be good. "You think you can just use me?" Her voice was rising, furious. "After everything I've done for you, the money I spent, the favors I called in?" She gestured toward the ballroom, her manicured nails catching the light. "And this whole time, you've been bad-mouthing me behind my back?" Emily sputtered. "I didn't..." Her mother-in-law turned to my parents. "You knew about this? You raised her to be like this?" My mom looked like she was going to pass out. "Of course not. Emily would never..." "Oh, please," I cut in, shaking my head. "You absolutely knew. You just didn't care. I mean, you raised her to think the world revolves around her. Of course she'd start treating everyone else like dirt." My mom's face twisted. Alex, stop it. Why? I crossed my arms. Because I'm making a scene? That only seems to matter when I'm the one talking. It wasn't a problem when Emily literally shoved me out of the reception. By now, people were full-on staring. Whispers filled the room. Guests turned to each other, clearly invested in the drama. And then the groom finally showed up, looking confused and slightly alarmed. What's going on? His mother jumped in, eyes blazing. What's going on is your wife's a two-faced brat who's been insulting me for months. The groom blinked. Wait, what? She's been running her mouth about me, complaining about my dress, my speech, my presence, saying she's just waiting until she never has to deal with me again. He turned to Emily, stunned. Did you actually say that? Emily shook her head quickly. No, I mean, not like that. Oh, not like that, her mother-in-law scoffed. Please. It was chaos. Her mother-in-law and Emily were shouting over each other. My mom was begging them to calm down. My dad looked like he'd rather vanish into the walls. The groom stood there, stunned, like he'd just been hit with a truck. And me? I stood back, sipping champagne like I was at a show. It was glorious. But the best part? I wasn't finished. Emily's voice cracked as she turned to her husband, her hands trembling. You believe her over me? She cried, pointing in my direction. Her husband, still struggling to wrap his head around the scene, rubbed his forehead. I don't know what to say. Did you say that stuff? Emily scoffed. It's taken out of context. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, the classic excuse. I switched to my best mocking voice. No, I was just joking. I made air quotes. I didn't mean it like that. Then I dropped the act, voice flat. Give it up. Emily, you got caught. And let's be real. If I hadn't said anything, you still wouldn't have cared. Em, who looked ready to explode, turned to my parents. And you're okay with this? My mom opened her mouth, then closed it again, looking like a fish gasping for air. We don't condone. Oh, cut it, I interrupted, waving her off. You knew exactly how she felt. You just let her keep up the perfect daughter-in-law act. I clicked my tongue. Guess it's all about keeping up appearances, huh? You're ruining my wedding, Alex, Emily screamed. I glanced around, dramatically. Oh, I'm ruining it? Didn't realize I was the one bad-mouthing family and trash-talking the groom's mom. I turned toward the crowd, many of whom were wide-eyed and trying not to be obvious about listening in. What do you guys think? Who's actually to blame here? Some people looked away awkwardly, clearly not wanting to get involved, but one of Emily's own bridesmaids whispered something to the woman next to her. That woman let out a short laugh. Emily whipped around, furious. You think this is funny? She hissed. The bridesmaid tried to hold back a smile. I mean, kinda. Oh, this was getting good. Emily's hands curled into fists, but before she could go nuclear, I decided I'd had enough. I was bored. I sighed, loud and theatrical. Well, this has been just lovely. Really. But I think it's time I head out. Fine, go, Emily shouted, throwing her hands in the air. I grinned. Oh, don't worry, I will. Then I turned my attention to the gift table, scanning for the box I had wrapped so carefully. The one I'd spent real time, effort, and, let's be honest, money on. And there it was. Emily noticed where I was looking. Alex, no. But I was already walking. I hummed to myself, grabbed my gift, and turned back toward her. Are you seriously taking it back? She gasped. I stared at her, deadpan. Why would I leave it? I'm not real family, remember? I gave a dramatic little gasp. What if I contaminated it with my peasant germs? I clutched the box tighter, mock horrified. Wouldn't want to curse your perfect married life. Her face turned a shade of red that almost matched the roses in her bouquet. You're such a child. I shrugged. Maybe, but at least I'm not a fake, lying, two-faced brat who pretends to be nice while talking trash behind everyone's back. Then I turned to Em. Hey, good luck with this one. I give it a year. Em actually laughed. Emily screeched, and I walked away. The tension behind me was like a wall. Guests whispering, music completely stopped, celebration replaced with full-on disaster. Honestly, I was thriving. At the doors, I paused. Just had to take it in one more time. Emily and Em were still going at it. My parents looked like they wanted to melt into the floor. The groom was staring off into space like he was rethinking every life choice. I gave a little wave and smirked. Enjoy your perfect wedding, sis. And then I walked out. Didn't even glance back. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what I'd done. And honestly, it felt amazing. Once I got to my car, I took a breath and adjusted the weight of the gift under my arm. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. The drive home was quiet. I replayed it all in my head. The shouting, the red faces, the awkward silence, the chaos. It was gold. And deep down, I knew this wasn't over. I was right. The next morning, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails. It was like my entire family had suddenly remembered I existed. My mom left 7 voicemails, cycling between desperate and furious. Alex, what were you thinking? You humiliated. Your sister. Call me back now. Please, let's talk this out. That was immature and selfish. I hope you're happy. Oh, I was. So happy. But the best part? Emily's messages. It's over between us. How could you do this? I can't even look at my wedding photos because of you. You took back your gift? Who does that? I hate you. I scrolled through her tantrums, sipping my coffee like it was the morning paper. But then, a different kind of message. From my dad. Short, simple. Call me when you have a moment. I hesitated. Dad never got involved. He let Mom and Emily run the show while he stayed on the sidelines. So him reaching out? That meant something. I called. He picked up after 2 rings. Alex, he said. Dad? There was a pause, then a sigh. Why would you do this? I snorted. Wasn't my fault they lit the match. Another sigh. For a second, I thought he'd start scolding me. But then, he chuckled. Low and tired. Yeah, they kind of did. That caught me off guard. Wait, you agree with me? I didn't say that, he said, but his tone was softer now. But I saw what happened, and I saw how your mom and sister treated you. It wasn't right. I leaned back in my chair. So, you're the only one not blaming me? Another pause. Not the only one. Turns out, the wedding didn't magically go back to normal after I left. The damage I'd done? It stuck. Em had completely lost it. After I blew everything up, she went off on Emily. Right there, in front of everyone. I wasn't sure if what I said was true, but knowing Emily, she panicked, tried to lie, act innocent. But apparently, Em had already suspected something was off about her. That little revelation? It was the final straw. By the time the reception ended, Em had practically disowned Emily and the groom? Absolutely furious. He'd thought Emily and his mom had a great relationship. No clue she'd been trashing her behind her back. Finding out like that, in front of everyone? Yeah, not great for a brand new marriage. According to my dad, he and Emily had a massive fight that night. Like, maybe we should rethink this whole marriage kind of fight. And my parents? They were caught smack in the middle. My mom tried to do damage control, but Em wasn't having it. She blamed my mom for raising a spoiled brat and told her flat out she didn't want Emily anywhere near her family anymore. Total fallout. So what's the situation now? I asked, genuinely curious. Dad sighed. Emily? Well, she's not handling it well. I rolled my eyes. Shocker. She's blaming you for everything, right? Exactly. She thinks if I hadn't said anything, none of this would have happened. I laughed. Of course she does. God forbid she take any responsibility for her own mess. Dad was quiet for a moment. Then he said, She wants you to apologize. I nearly choked on my coffee. Apologize? She thinks it's the only way to fix things, he went on. She believes if you take the blame, maybe Em will forgive her and everything can go back to normal. I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, that's not happening. Dad nodded, then in a softer voice said, Honestly, I don't think you should. That made me pause. Seriously? I told you, Alex. I saw what happened. Maybe it's about time someone called her out. That meant more to me than I wanted to admit. So, what now? Dad sighed again. Your mom is still trying to patch things up with Em, but I don't think it's going to work. Em is furious. The groom, he barely speaks to Emily. And Emily, well, she's a mess. Good, I thought, not saying it out loud. I wouldn't lie to myself. My sister had spent years making me feel like an afterthought, treating me like I didn't belong. Now she was facing the fallout of her own actions. About time. Dad added, I just thought you should know what's going on. Your mom will probably try calling you again. Let her try, I said, shrugging. I'm not answering. Dad laughed softly. Can't say I blame you. And that was that. It's been a few weeks since the wedding, and honestly, I haven't talked to my sister since. She still refuses to take responsibility, still blames me for everything, still expects me to fix it all. But I won't. I don't regret what I did. If anything, I'm proud of it. As for the marriage, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't last. So what do you guys think? Was I too petty? Should I have just played along? Or did my sister get exactly what she deserved? Let me know. I could really use a good laugh.